is Israel Vasquitelli. Welcome to the Turntable, a roundtable discussion featuring music and entertainment business students, artists, and anyone with a vested interest in the music industry. And today we have a special artist guest, and that is Jordan Dunn of the Orlando-based heavy metal act Poor Advice. And hopefully we're going to get some good advice today.
Yeah, maybe it'll be something.
Okay.
It'll be something. I take it for what you want.
Got it. Well, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So my first question that I want to throw out to you is that I know that you guys have been working really hard to make a name for yourselves. And I would love to get a little bit of insight into how you transition from doing music as a hobby to making it a professional endeavor.
In this current incarnation of what we have, it started, I met some guys here at Full Sail in class, and he was just like, hey, you like heavy music? I'm like, yeah. You like sing? I'm like, yeah. You want to start a band? Okay. And we just started with jamming some songs we had. You know, I was just me, a guitar player, and a bass player. And we were like, oh, we're actually writing some stuff we kind of like. And then when we felt like we transitioned into something like actually like professional was when we met Manny, our manager, and he helping me apply the things I learned at Full Sail with what he's currently learning at Full Sail. It was like, oh wait, we really like have a brand here. Like we're not well known, but the people who do kind of know us for like the brand more than anything else. And I'm like, well, that's something, because that never has happened before for me. You know what I mean? So like when that kind of happened, where it was like, oh, people kind of recognize this brand more than, and who we are more so than the music, it was like, okay, that's a little different. Like usually, you know, people kind of know the music, it's your friends or whatever. But then we played like the first show we played as like a full band in Daytona, and we had like these people going nuts, and it wasn't people we knew. Like typically in like newer heavy bands and stuff, you see kids going crazy, and it's usually like it's just your friends you brought to the show. We didn't bring anybody, and these people went nuts.
Or your mom.
Or my mom, yeah. And we saw people like reacting, and I was just like, oh, that's never really had that before. Not strangers reacting in a way we kind of hoped for, and it was like, okay, maybe we're onto something. And then as we started building things and like coming up with ideas together, we were just like, oh wait, we kind of are being professional about this, you know. And I think really when it comes to being in a band, like I don't know if you ever feel professional. I've never been to like a really successful place where I was like, oh, I can do this like for a living, but I don't know if it ever feels professional, because it's about being professional, I think, is more important, right? As a band, like it's, you know, you're going to be professional if you're acting like such. You know, you go to a show, there's no one there, play it like there's a million people there. You know, be professional, and that's when you'll be when you start acting like it, that's when you're a professional band, I guess, to us. And that's like what it felt like. Like when we started treating it as such, that's when it like became.
Indeed, and that's stellar advice, treating it like a professional. Right. So I know you folks have a new single.
Yeah.
Okay, and I would love to learn a little bit from our panelists of experts on their recommendations about where you should go next. So what's the next steps?
So, I mean, you guys get out of your hometown, right? So you're playing in Central Florida, and of course you need to play consistently in Central Florida and maybe play every 8 to 12 weeks and repeat that, but always make events out of your shows and give people a reason to come to those shows. Don't just let it be just another local show with 4 bands, but also start getting outside of Florida, within your region, like outside of Orlando, I mean. So kind of play your region. Don't try to tour the entire coast. Just really try to build up one city at a time, maybe focusing on 4 or 5 markets within the state, and really building those and focusing on building an audience in each one of those cities and getting your music out there. And then, you know, when you do your marketing and your promo online, focusing on those cities that you're playing, kind of backing that up with marketing. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that.
For sure. To me, I think it's also don't be afraid to do your research. You know, I know like in this particular world, it's not the most attractive word to throw out there.
Yeah,
for
sure.
It's about where do you find bands? You know, where do you find new music that sounds like what you're doing and everything? And then, you know, follow that path that they followed. See, and you don't have to aim for the Rolling Stone or, you know, feature or something like that. Find smaller blogs and websites that do features on artists and start working your way up the totem pole. But yeah, use the template that's out there already based on your own interests and try to follow along the same route.
Right.
Try to set up like something that we do with our artists. We piggyback with other artists. We try to set up our own little tours, our own little show dates, kind of like what Alex was saying, because it's really just going to help bring your band or your fans with their fans.
Absolutely.
Put you in another market. So that's like it jumpstarts you in that other market by somebody in Miami or Tampa or Daytona.
Yeah.
Start really doing these shows with them. You can also, like, when they have new opportunities, they're gonna do the same thing for you.
Yeah.
Right.
I think so many people forget now because everyone's online just yelling, look at me, look at me, look at me, and then they
Yeah.
get frustrated because everybody's yelling, look at me, and nobody's looking at anybody, you know?
Yeah,
That's why you got to add value to the community
cultivate
and
that scene.
create conversation and engagement. Yeah.
To liken that to like one of our songs, actually, we have a song called Rabbit Holes, which is about sort of just the internet and the things that go on. And I say in the song, we're enabled by the unnecessary need to be heard without much being said. And that's
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it is. That is what's
it
going
really
on.
is.
Like, people just want to yell and yell and yell about whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to like listen. And like
Right.
we were talking outside, and I was even like, that lyric even means like, yeah, sometimes people overshare on Facebook, right? That's like a big problem. It's like, oh, you look at somebody like, why did you post that?
Yeah, I
They
do
need
that to myself
somebody.
all the time.
But what we're really reaching for, and I think the problem isn't necessarily that you're posting that, but it's that people are too afraid to just like say, hey, it's gonna be okay, or hey, say something to it, whatever.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
somebody's posting that because they do need something.
Right.
You know, I have friends where I'm just like, oh, why did you post that? It's like, you're obviously like reaching out. Like,
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
the best, you know. So, you know, like I said, creating like a sense of kind of a community.
Community,
That's what we're really
scene,
trying to do.
yeah.
And one more thing that Alex said, like when you try to start booking shows outside of your hometown, like when you try to go to a new city, it's hard. I mean, you guys
yeah.
book,
Oh, yeah.
trying to hit up a venue in Tampa,
sure.
you've never played the market before, it's really difficult. And as a promoter, like if you reach out to me, if it's just you and you're expecting me to put a show together, that's so much work for the promoter. Like network with other bands in those markets and bring them an entire show. Like, hey, here's
Right.
the 4 bands
Oh,
that
yeah.
will play.
Yeah.
And then when you play with the locals, the money doesn't matter in the beginning.
No.
Like you tell the locals you play for free, you take all the money. We just want to have a room full of people and get in front of it.
Right.
So I love to dig into making money. Clearly, if it's a business, you have to make money at some point. And obviously, there are a lot of misconceptions from newbie artists that think that, you know, they're just going to post music online and magically, you know, 1,000 streams is going to get them rich. Clearly, they might be able to buy a cup of coffee if they're lucky, or that they're going to get tons of downloads, which we all know is becoming a thing of the past, or that they upload some new T-shirt design and all of a sudden they're able to retire. So I love to talk a little bit about the reality of selling. Clearly, the most obvious place, as far as I'm concerned, to make money from products, from things that you're selling, is the live space, because that's where your audience is. And you have, if you're able to show and prove, hopefully you're going to get a sale out of that. But I love to learn a little bit about some of the other sources of income that are realistic for a newer band.
Well, I have 2 things on that. So one of my mentors always taught me multiple streams of revenue is one of the keys to starting a business. But however, be careful with that, because if you have too many streams of little revenue, then you're just spreading yourself too thin trying to maximize each stream. So there's a lot of different ways you can earn money. Obviously, playing shows is one. Streaming, if you're really good songwriters, maybe you can get a sync or a licensing deal for sync licenses. But also starting out, maybe you just have to have a side hustle. I mean, you should always be working on being the best musicians you can be. So if you're musicians, guess what you can do? You can give music lessons.
Right.
I mean, give music lessons on the side. And while you're giving music lessons, the best way to become better is through teaching. So if you're teaching someone else your craft, you're going to become a better guitar player, a better bass player, a better drummer, singing, or a better singer.
Yeah.
So give music lessons. That's a great side hustle. Or someone in the band is doing all the graphic design or doing all the web design. Make that a side hustle.
Yeah.
Do graphics and web design for people. If you're learning how Submit Hub works and learn how to write a press release really well, like do PR work for bands. Like bands are paying for that. The only person that is guaranteed to get paid in the band is the publicist. So do PR for someone.
I think like if there's any students in here, they probably roll their eyes when we say SWOT analysis. But you know, again, like you're saying, I love that answer, because you're looking at the strengths of the people that you're working with, right? And then you're putting each person in a situation to succeed. And I've worked with musicians that would roll their eyes at the idea of giving drum lessons or whatever. But you know, you've got to think, like you said, you're getting better at your craft. That you're going to take you'll take just as much, if you're doing it right, from playing cover songs. You'll learn just as much about songwriting as what you're teaching to other people, you know. And it's gonna, and then when you go to write with your group, you're gonna be twice as good as you were when you started out. So yeah, I really do think that's important. And if you're talking about merchandise, like you said, don't spread yourself too thin. I've seen artists with 10 items of merchandise, and they sell one of each. But how much did you pay for each one of those things? So, but give them something interesting. Give them something beyond just the T-shirt. Israel, you're probably
and have a range.
Yeah, there you
Everything
go.
from a sticker for $1 to
Yeah.
maybe a $20 shirt.
Yeah, there you
or
go.
Beyond.
And think about again what sets you apart from other artists in your scene. Like, is there something unique about your look? Is there like does one person always wear like a bizarre looking purple shirt or something like that? Sell that purple shirt, like make a replica of it, or do something along
Put
those
it in a
lines.
video too, by the way.
There you go. Like make a thing out of it. So and people are gonna want it.
And you said something important about playing cover songs, and that's what we've talked a lot in the past about. But cover gigs, I mean, maybe do that under a different name. But if you really are trying to get to a specific scene, so we talked about like trying to find your scenes. Let's say in metal, your scenes in Ohio or New York, wherever it is. How are you going to get there, and how are you going to fund your way there? If you learn how to play covers and you play a bunch of like restaurants and bars along the way to New York and make $400 to $1,000 a night playing covers, I mean, that's going to pay your entire trip.
One thing I've always talked to different bands, like our band in the current incarnation wouldn't be the best, but like certain other bands, I'm like, why don't you guys become a wedding band on the side?
Yeah.
Learn some covers. Like wedding bands get paid $10,000. Like,
Yeah.
I worked for a long time. Like you make a lot of money.
Somebody needs a metal wedding.
Yeah, that's
we
true
can do
too.
it. Like we always do is learn the songs they want to hear. Can't be that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you see a wedding, you see what the band has to do. There's a certain aesthetic that they have to go for, and it's like it's got to be fun, like getting everyone going.
Right.
Not that hard. You can make a ton of money.
Yeah.
Right?
So work on the electric slide. Electric.
young thing.
With that being said, I want to thank everybody on our table today, and I do want to say that if you're wondering why you're headbanging to an acoustic set, it's because you're checking out Poor Advice. Here they go.
Dig yourself out of the aftermath. What's worse than dying alone or in a search for truth? Fair enough, you made your mistakes, but I've gotta go on and play the cards I've been dealt. No need to hold on. Oh no, and the world's given me too much of a reason to burn the candle at both ends of the stick and just keep on fighting till it's making me leave those who blindly believe wandering with no room is clearly evident. We all agree it's all hell-bound in heaven sent. What you choose to do isn't up to me, but I'll be damned before I'm benevolent with the justice that I seek. That's the difference between the buried and me. At this point, you're just embarrassing yourself. Get on your feet. Yes, we can salvage the wreckage made by man, and we'll live by a code of honor, respect, and integrity. We'll build something we could only dream. Take pride and passion, paint pictures with every color we see. Strive to live free, break the rusted chains of ancestral traits. Cultures dividing, breeding on hate. When we've lost hope, we're destined to a meaningless fate. It's been far too long. Please try and deny it. Heed the fainting quiet. It's been far too long. Please try and deny it. And death becomes us all. Death becomes us. We want more for less, stand for something, or be stood upon. We want out or a nicer room to stay in. We'll give up when we're given the right to get down. Heed the fate in quiet. It's been far too long. Please try and deny it, and death becomes us all. Heed the fate in quiet. It's been far too long. Please try and deny it, and death becomes us. We want warmth, yet justice is a dish best served cold. We needed something more suitable, but you always tell us we're wrong. Now we're lower than we've ever been. Boss strangled, man ran. Devils claim they can make our country great again. It all moves, it keeps going, it never stops. So roll the dice, let risk bring a whole new meaning to this. Nothing only exists where nothing can coexist. We've all been here before. What's your explanation for this? Chances in the details. The manual is a far greater altruist that spins madly unaware. Heed the feigning quiet. Now we become the storm. We stand united to watch the mighty fall.